Jansen this spring, the strides he's made? What have you seen in particular and how he kind of responded coming off?
Yeah, JD, you know, he's grown on the field and off the field. And he's bought into our process, you know, and I think he's starting to see the benefits of that, you know, and so excited about his growth. Still got a long way to go, just like all our guys, you know, but understanding process is really important, especially at this generation, you know. A lot of guys, and not just speaking of Jansen, talking in general now, a lot of guys want instant gratification, but it takes time to grow and develop. And Coach Stoops, you know, from the top down, has done a phenomenal job in our program of emphasizing that. And so guys, when they completely buy into it, I think they're able to see the growth and it builds confidence.
Is it particularly tricky for transfers because so many transfer guys are looking for that instant impact to come in and play right away somewhere, but even with a guy like Jansen, they still might take some role.
Well, everybody's process is different, you know, and so when we talk about that process, it's not necessarily pinpointing it for every person. Does that make sense? You know, some guys are their process is different in terms of that growth, right, and what that growth looks like. But committing to it, that's the most important piece.
Max is about as steady as you could get right in the secondary. But besides him, what else are you seeing in that group, and how are you liking how they're developing?
Man, compete. You know, again, Coach Bush and the offense and receivers have done a phenomenal job of taking a step, and that's what for us helps sharpen our iron. You know, and so I think those guys have done a really good job of continuing to compete. You know, for us this spring, and talked about Max being consistent. That's our mantra, right? Stack days and be consistent in our craft and learn from the mistakes and not repeat those things because they're going to happen. All right, learn from those scars and not repeat them. And so I think he's grown in that regard. Right, I think the group has grown in that regard, but they're competing. You know, they're waking up every morning, putting their best foot down, right, and taking the opportunity to get better.
Replacing a guy like Andrew Phillips is not easy, obviously. Yeah. How do you go about doing that, and what do you see out of the guys to kind of take on that production?
Man. You know, Drew's kind of one of those guys, man, that did so much for us, you know, and you kind of take it for granted when he's here, and then all of a sudden, whoa, man, he played two positions. How you gonna feel him? But for us, man, we kind of always have, you know, looking ahead in our forecast. And Coach White has done an amazing job in terms of kind of helping us develop our roster in there. And so, you know, again, that process we talked about with JD is understanding, okay, what are the next steps, right? And so when those guys do elevate and go to the next level, right, who's been in position to grow and mature in that next step and that next opportunity. And so understanding that is really important, right? And then going to be able to execute that is really important. And so that's the process that we're in now, right? Executing those guys, taking that next step and filling that role.
You mentioned Drew playing two positions. Jansen kind of bounced back and forth. Is there a spot you wanting to focus on right now in the spring, or are you kind of just mixing and matching, I guess, with him?
Man, I just want guys to continue to get better.
Yeah.
You know, at the most important. We talk about, at the end of the day, man, DB play is about fundamentals. You know, and that's something that we stress, you know, on our stacking days is winning with fundamentals. And so those fundamentals can carry over to a lot of different positions. But at the end of the day, man, if I'm playing with great technique, great eyes, you know, I'm going to have the opportunity to be successful, you know, and so that's been our main focus.
With a guy like Max out there, how big is it to the defense overall when you can find that guy across from him, the second guy, to elevate and be close to what he gives you?
Yeah, it's huge, man. It's huge. And, you know, again, Max has worked his way to that, you know what I mean? And so it's been good for the guys to see because he always wasn't there. We always knew he had it, right? But, again, working to that. And so that process that we spoke about, you know, with some guys, understanding that and seeing kind of Max develop through it, right? And they can kind of take those same steps. And, again, everybody's process is different. But identifying who that next guy on the other side can be is important to our growth as a defense. And, again, I think we're working to do that.
What were those conversations like with those guys after the ball game? When they got thrown into it on that last drive because of the injuries, it didn't go the way you wanted, obviously, but you know you're going to beat them moving forward, making those steps.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Coach Stoops, you know, talks about it all the time. You learn the most from scars, you know what I mean? And so in that moment, it's hard, right? We're all frustrated, right? But understanding how not to make the same mistake, right? And that's been our mantra throughout the spring. Stack days, man. Stack days, continue to consistently get better, right? And so learning from that moment, right? Both as coaches and as players, right? Not always just putting it on a player, vice versa, putting it on the coach, but understand how we all can grow, And I think that's how we kind of attacked it and have been attacking it since I've been here.
Coach White talked a little bit about the challenge of facing Brock every day, what he brings. It sounds like a bit of a pain to the secondary because of everything he can do.
Yeah, he's a tremendous athlete back there, right? So he can throw it, really good arm talent, but he also is talented with his legs. He can extend plays, and that's kind of the thing at the secondary when guys can extend plays, right? Make off-schedule throws and off-schedule plays. It really does stress you. And so on top of the system, now you got a guy, when you do cover it all up, the play breaks down, he can go make something happen, and now I got to be even more disciplined in my eye control, my technique, and my fundamentals. And so, yeah, he does, man. It's been fun to compete, it's been fun to accept the challenge every day, and I'm excited about where we are with it.
Taking on that co-coordinator title now, what does that look like for you? And do the meeting rooms look different? What's that role?
Man, first off, tremendous blessing, Thank Coach Stoops, Coach White for believing in me and blessing me with that opportunity. Thank God daily, don't take it for granted. In terms of my growth and in terms of our growth defensively, man, we've got a great system. Coach White, Coach Stoops have done an amazing job of building it. So for me in that role, it's just trying to continue to add to it. Be a great foot soldier, right? Chip in the extra ways they ask me to, and grow individually as a coach as well. But at the end of the day, it's about being a great foot soldier, understanding that we have a successful system in place, and maybe tweaking one or two things here can also help us grow.
Everybody good? All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.